So originally from Richmond, just outside of Richmond. I went to Verina High School and then swam at George Mason. Spent 12 years as the head coach at Georgia Southern for their women's team. Family, I have a wife named Elizabeth. She's also from Richmond. All of our parents live in Richmond, and that's really nice. And we have a 4-month-old son named Jack. I'd never been on deck with somebody to learn from. I started as a grad assistant at Georgia Southern, and 6 weeks later I was the head coach right out of college, and I was 22 coaching 22-year-old women. And so I never got that opportunity to learn from somebody day to day, and I knew to one day be a head coach down the road, I needed to have experience as an assistant to be able to learn from somebody day to day. And Chris had worked for me for 2 years, actually, as my grad assistant. So I was obviously pretty familiar with him. And then through him, I got to know Matt a little bit. And when the position came open here, my wife and I were about to be married, and Richmond's our home. So it just kind of matched on all angles. And I'm glad we did that. I couldn't have asked for a better mentor in Matt, and certainly a better friend in Chris. It was a little bit of an adjustment, but it was something that I wanted and that I needed at the time. So I'm very grateful for the opportunity. And you know, when I was a head coach, I just learned the hard way by making mistakes, and eventually realized that might not be the best way to do things. You certainly learn from that, but I felt like having the opportunity to learn day to day from Matt and Chris was what I eventually needed. I realized when I was a junior in college that I could not see myself not on the pool deck every day. And interestingly enough, that was when I was kind of going through a little bit of a slump in my swimming career, and didn't really agree with the sport. But through that, I realized that swimming is what I wanted to do every day. And I ended up working an office job after my senior year just to kind of make sure. And that was when I realized that absolutely I needed to be on the pool deck every day. I swam at George Mason. They started the program the year before my freshman year. So they were just looking for warm bodies, and I luckily happened to be a warm body. But we were dead last in the conference, you know, and then by the time I finished my senior year, we were second. And I think we stayed second for 3 or 4 years after that. I'd say that was my proudest moment. I mean, we I don't know, I was on a couple of relay teams that medaled. I thought for us that was pretty good. So yeah, that was my proudest moment as an athlete for sure. I think my proudest moment as a coach was my first year here, 2017 CAA championships. Our men handily won the conference championship meet that year. Going into the last day, or the last session, I should say, our women were down 70 points, which is a huge margin. We stormed back in dramatic fashion and actually did not lead the meet until the second to last event. But that was probably the most amazing thing I've seen in person in terms of swimming. But it was a comeback like I'd never seen before, and I was really proud of our athletes for never giving up and you know, staying the course. I'll certainly challenge the athletes in terms of practice and workouts, but I want it to be a good experience. And I think if we're having fun, we're going to swim fast, and if we're swimming fast, we're going to have fun. So, you know, we want it to be enjoyable. We're going to work really, really, really hard, but have some fun doing it. And I don't believe those two are mutually exclusive. So I think if we can work really, really hard and have some fun doing it, then that's when our kids will be at their best. You know, the most important thing is the athletes in my eyes, and those are the top priority. That's what I care about, and we have a great group. So they're super supportive, and they've been great rolling with all the changes. Chris and Matt certainly developed it, and I kind of was just here on the rode the coattails in. But I got to see kind of day in and day out how important it is and how much we talk about it. It is a living, breathing entity that we have to work to shape day in and day out. We look for the same things every year. We want great people, great students, and great swimmers in that order, and we're not going to change that order at all. Obviously, I think if we have the first two ingredients, good people, good students, then the good swimmers, we can help them go faster. The times will come if those first two things are there. So that's really it. I'm not related to the Kellogg's from the Kellogg Cereal Company. Go Tribe.